The wind sighed through the skeletal branches of ancient trees, carrying with it the chill of the graveyard. I stood at the wrought iron gate, its rusty hinges groaning as I pushed it open. The moon cast an ethereal glow over the tombstones, turning the graveyard into a macabre sea of shadows. I walked between the rows of weathered stones, the crunch of gravel beneath my shoes a morbid symphony. The air was thick with an unspoken sorrow, and the night seemed to hold its breath. I couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes followed my every step. As I wandered deeper into the heart of the cemetery, the shadows seemed to dance, forming grotesque shapes that flickered in the corners of my vision. I tried to dismiss it as my imagination, but the uneasy feeling persisted. The graveyard had a story, and it longed to tell it to anyone willing to listen. I found myself standing before a particularly ancient mausoleum, its stone facade weathered by centuries. The door, adorned with faded engravings of weeping angels, creaked open with a ghostly invitation. Against my better judgment, I stepped inside. The air inside was damp and heavy, as if the mausoleum itself exhaled the weight of the past. The flickering candlelight cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. My eyes were drawn to an ornate coffin at the center of the chamber, a name barely visible on its lid. The atmosphere grew colder as a soft whisper filled the air, barely audible yet resonating with an otherworldly force. "Why have you come?" it murmured, the words sending shivers down my spine. I tried to answer, but my voice caught in my throat. As I stood frozen, the lid of the coffin shifted, revealing the silhouette of a figure wrapped in tattered burial clothes. The specter emerged slowly, its eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. "You are not the first to seek answers in this graveyard," it intoned, its voice a haunting melody. "Nor will you be the last." With each step, the figure circled me, its gaze penetrating the depths of my soul. "Listen well," it whispered, recounting a tale that transcended the boundaries of life and death. Centuries ago, a tragedy unfolded in this cursed cemetery. A love forbidden, a betrayal unforgiven. The souls of the ill-fated lovers were said to wander the graveyard, forever bound by the chains of regret and sorrow. Their whispers echoed through the tombstones, a melancholic symphony that only the bravest dared to confront. As the figure spoke, the shadows around me deepened, and the temperature plummeted. The air was thick with the sorrow of the past, and the ethereal voices of the lovers wove through the darkness. I felt their pain, their heart ache, as if it seeped into my very bones. "You must help us," the figure implored, its eyes pleading. "Break the curse that binds us to this desolate place. Find the relic hidden in the heart of the graveyard, and only then will our souls find peace." The weight of the task ahead settled on my shoulders like a tombstone. I nodded, my voice finally finding its way. "I'll help you," I vowed, unsure of the path I had just chosen. The figure nodded in gratitude and, with a spectral gesture, opened a hidden passage leading further into the labyrinthine depths of the graveyard. As I descended, the air grew colder, and the whispers intensified, guiding me toward an ancient crypt at the heart of the cemetery. The crypt was a place untouched by time, its walls adorned with faded frescoes that depicted the tragic tale of the lovers. It was said that the relic lay hidden in a secret chamber, protected by the spirits of those who could not find rest. As I ventured deeper into the crypt, the air became suffocating and the walls seemed to close in on me. The whispers transformed into anguished cries, the pain of the past manifesting in the shadows that writhed along the walls. I pressed on, driven by a determination to unravel the mysteries that bound these tortured souls. In the heart of the crypt, I discovered a chamber concealed behind a crumbling wall. The air within vibrated with an ominous energy, and the walls were adorned with symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. At the center of the room, an ancient altar held the relic, a small ornate box adorned with symbols that matched those on the walls. As I reached for the relic, the temperature in the chamber plummeted and the shadows coalesced into the form of spectral guardians. Eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light, they barred my way, their ethereal voices resonating with a chorus of warnings. "You tread on sacred ground," they intoned, the air heavy with the weight of centuries. "To claim the relic is to accept the burden that binds these lost souls. Are you prepared to bear the consequences?" I hesitated, the gravity of the choice weighing heavily on my mind. But the whispers of the lovers echoed in my ears, and I knew that there was no turning back. With a resolute nod, I reached for the relic, the moment marked by a chilling wind that swept through the chamber. The shadows recoiled, and the guardian's eyes flared with a mixture of anger and resignation. The air grew still, and the voices of the lovers rose in a haunting crescendo, their agony and longing merging into a harmonious lament. As the echoes faded, the crypt seemed to exhale a sigh of release. I emerged from the depths of the graveyard, the relic cradled in my hands. The atmosphere had changed. The air was no longer thick with sorrow, and the shadows no longer whispered of regret. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the tombstones, as if in acknowledgement of the peace that had been restored. The figure that had guided me through the mausoleum awaited at the cemetery's entrance. Its eyes, once filled with a haunting intensity, now held a glimmer of gratitude. "You have lifted the curse that bound us," it murmured, its voice fading into the night. "May the spirits of the graveyard find rest, and may your path be free of the shadows that linger." With those words, the figure dissipated into the darkness, leaving me alone in the graveyard. The wind sighed through the ancient trees, carrying with it the echoes of a long-buried sorrow. As I walked away, the tombstones stood as silent witnesses to the tale of love, loss, and redemption that had unfolded beneath the moonlit sky. The graveyard, once a realm of shadows and whispers, now exuded a serene stillness. Yet as I glanced back one last time, I couldn't shake the feeling that the spirits lingered in the shadows, their stories etched into the very fabric of the cemetery. The wind carried a final, gentle whisper, a thank you from the depths of the graveyard, a grateful farewell from the souls that had found peace at last.